Welcome to Sam's Russian Adventures. My name's Sam, an English guy living in provincial Russia. Now today's video is a little bit different. It's a video that I've just decided to make quickly because I really wanted to get the correct information out there with regards to this topic. Now I've just watched this video by Countryside Acres with a problem they have about having to leave Russia within 3 weeks. And I wanted to address this issue that they've been talking about because it seems like a awful piece of bureaucracy, of red tape, of a situation that could be resolved easily and something that they've maybe been treated unfairly. And I wanted to address that because that is not the case at all. And with my experience of living in Russia, I wanted to explain the situation to you so that you don't get the wrong impression. So I want to share with you what is the immigration quota, temporary residency, what is it all about, who qualifies for it, how you qualify for it, and why it seems as if the Countryside Acres channel, the family, are being forced to leave Russia early because they won't be able to pass the residency test for Russian language and knowledge. First of all, it's very important to understand how these guys have been able to apply for residency and why that is creating the situation that they're in now. You see, typically if you want to come to Russia for the first time, then you'll come here on a tourist visa like these guys have for 90 days, or perhaps you'll come here on a business visa that allows you to be in Russia for 90 days at a time. Or if you're from the US, you can get a 3-year tourist visa, or there's a specially high qualified professional visa that people can get. If they prove that they're qualified, a specialist, they can get a visa for 3 years. But generally most people come to Russia either on a tourist visa, a work visa, or a student visa. After a year of living in Russia, you're able to apply for residency. 1 year of living in Russia. Now generally 1 year typically isn't enough unless you show that you've perhaps already purchased real estate, perhaps your intentions are to get married, you've opened a business, things like this. These things will make you stand out over other applicants because typically in each town, apart from Moscow, only 200 people can apply per year for residency. 200. And you've got to get your name onto that quota. Now the quota is something, it's an allocation of people that are allowed to apply for residency. Now there are exceptions to the quota. If you're married to a Russian citizen, you do not require the quota to apply for residency. So after being in Russia, you can say, look, I've got a Russian wife, so therefore they'll allow you to apply for residency outside of the allocation. Or if you've got a Russian family member or something like that. But generally, you have to be in Russia for at least 1 year to apply, and you'll be here working for an organization. They'll have provided the visa for you, or you'll be here as a student and you'll be here learning Russian. Maybe you've passed and finished your diploma, your degree, and you'll be knowledgeable of Russian language and you'll be knowledgeable of life in Russia. And so you have the time to apply and you'll carry on working for your organization or studying at your university while you're waiting for the decision. So after being in Russia for at least a year, you can apply for residency and you can go to immigration and say, I would like to apply based on the immigration quota, on the allocation that you have 200 places per year or 200 places per half year. I would like to apply and be part of that allocation. They then make a decision whether or not you can apply. Once they've said whether or not you can apply, then you get all your documents together, lots of medical checks, some legal checks, and the Russian language and history kind of test. You submit all of these documents when you pass the test. When you have got all these medical documents together, you submit them all, and then typically it takes a minimum of 1.5 months, but typically it takes 4 months to receive your residency. If everything's fine, if everything's okay, everything goes well with the checks, then you receive your residency after 4 months. So the reason that the people over at Countryside Acres are having this problem right now isn't because of red tape or bureaucracy. The reason that they're having the problem is because somehow they've been able to negotiate into arriving in Russia immediately on a tourist visa and being accepted on the immigration quota immediately. Now, the problem that this has basically created for them is that they're on a tourist visa for 90 days, they're here arriving in Russia, they've been accepted amazingly by the immigration department of the location that they're in and been told that they can apply immediately for residency, something that's completely unheard of. I mean, I literally was in Russia for 10 years before I was given the permission to apply for residency. So that just shows you how nice the immigration department of this area where they live have gone to say, yeah, if you come to us, we'll give you the immigration quota immediately. Then they've got to go and get all the documents ready, get all the legal documents, and obviously they've got some sort of lawyer who's told them, yeah, you can do it all really quickly. But I guess what's happened is they're running out of time, and now they've got to go and do the language test, which says to me, if they haven't done the language test yet, they have not actually given the documents in to the immigration yet. And as I said, it's going to take a minimum of 1.5 months for the documents to be processed and to be even given residency. So this isn't something that's happened to them because of the red tape, because of the bureaucracy. This is something that's happened because whoever told them that they could come to Russia on a 90-day visa, a tourist visa, and apply for residency and it will all be fine, well, there's the problem. Because, as I said already, people that apply for residency typically have to be in Russia for at least a year, and they're here working, they're studying, they're here permanently. In order to get temporary residency, it might sound like, oh, temporary residency is just like something you do temporarily. No, what temporary residency does is it gives you 3 years residency, and that 3-year residency then allows you to open a business, to buy a bigger plot of land than you could as a tourist, to do so many things that you could then do. Basically, you have the same rights almost as a citizen. And so therefore this temporary residency is usually allocated to people that have already been in Russia for a while already. The problem with Countryside Acres is they've come on a 90-day tourist visa and applied for something that takes a long time. This is residency inside Russia. This gives them so many rights. Once they've had temporary residency for 1 year, they can already apply for permanent residency, which will allow them to stay in Russia indefinitely, like forever. So this is a big step, and this is something that takes a while to do. And because they've come here and been told, here's, you can come in on a 90-day visa and you can just apply for residency and it all goes smoothly, that's the problem they're facing. So typically, if you want to get to the stage where you apply for residency in Russia, you'll come here to work, you'll come here and you'll get married. If you're married to a Russian person, you can apply for residency without the allocation, without the quota. But otherwise, you'll be studying Russian, or you'll be working somewhere, and you'll have lived in Russia for a while. You'll probably already have bought somewhere to live. You'll make the steps to show that you want to live in Russia permanently, and then you'll go to the immigration and ask if you can apply. And based on your situation, they'll make a judgment and say, oh yeah, okay, this guy's serious. Perhaps he's bought property, he's been working for a while, he's got a reason to stay here. Okay, we'll allow you. Now, there's of course no exact reason, what's the word, category. I don't work for immigration, but that is how temporary residency works. And so the reason that these guys over at Countryside Acres are having these problems is simply because they've come here on a 90-day tourist visa and applied for something that is more of a long-term thing. I always say, if you want to move to Russia, then there's 2 good ways. You either come here and work, or you come here as a student, and you think of it as a long-term plan. And obviously I'm not saying these guys aren't thinking long-term, but what you need to do is, generally, in order to get this quota, in order to be allowed to apply for temporary residency, you need to think, right, what can I do for a year that's going to get me in Russia, it's going to get me to the stage where I can apply for residency, where I'm living here legally and I've got time to go through the application process so that I can be here if it takes 4 months, if it takes half a year from the stage where I'm allocated the ability to apply for residency. From that moment, Right, I'm in Russia, so what will allow you to do that? The two best ways are to come here and teach English. You come here and teach English, even if you don't like teaching English, you teach English. If you're a native English speaker, you can come here, you can teach English for a year. You'll have a great platform of a structure around you of people that are interested in knowing you because you're an English teacher. You'll have the framework of the company, it will help you to find a place to live, you'll make friends. Or you come as a student and you study Russian. The same thing, you'll have that framework. And then upon completion of your learning, or during your learning, or after spent a year in Russia, you then go to immigration and say, I've been living for a year in Russia, I've been working, I'd like to stay permanently, I'd perhaps like to open a business or something, but I can't do it now because I'm on a work visa, right? Or I'm a student. But my plans are to stay here full time. And so what I'd like to do is I'd like to apply for residency. And then they'll make the decision whether or not you can apply. You'll be given time to get together the documents you need. You'll give the documents, including the Russian language test, to the immigration, and then you'll wait. You'll carry on working, you'll carry on studying or whatever. 4 months later, they'll call you and say, congratulations, everything's done, come and pick it up. But you see, because Countryside Acres have come on a 90-day tourist visa and negotiated a way to apply for residency, it now looks like, what's going wrong with Russia? This is crazy. There's not time for me to learn Russian or for me to get the documents together before my tourist visa ends. That's because the residency permit isn't designed for you. It's designed for people that have been in Russia for a long time. Designed for people that have already studied or worked here. Designed for people that have already proved that they want to have a life here. Now, I'm not saying that the guys at Countryside Acres don't want to have a life here. I can see that they do. But the problem they're having is got nothing to do with Russian bureaucracy or red tape. It's got to do with them being told by whoever's told them, yeah, come to Russia on a 90-day visa and you'll have enough time to get everything done, it's no problem. You know, whoever told them that shouldn't have told them that. At the end of the day, the stress they're having now is because they came here on a 90-day tourist visa. They shouldn't have come here on a 90-day tourist visa and thought that I can apply for residency to live in Russia. And that's why they're having the problem. Now, hopefully, everything's going to go well for them. I've tried to reach out to get in contact with them to give them some advice. And hopefully, I'm going to find a way to do that. But I just thought it's really, really important that you guys know that the situation they're having right now has got nothing to do with the fact that, you know, there's so much red tape and bureaucracy in Russia. If you know any Russian that's just been able to move to the UK and within 3 months receive residency without working, without anything at all, then let me know, because I think it's virtually impossible. So the problems, I repeat, that they're having is not because of the Russian red tape, the bureaucracy, it's because they've been given access to something that virtually no one ever gets access to, which is the right to apply for residency after just coming on a 90-day tourist visa. It's absolutely incredible that they've been given the opportunity to do that, and the fact that they're running out of time to get it all done isn't because of Russian bureaucracy and red tape. It's because they've been badly advised by whoever it was that said to them, look, you can come here on a tourist visa and we'll get everything done and you'll be able to stay here and be a resident. Hopefully it'll work, hopefully it'll be fine. But just so you know the reason, because there's a lot of people out there that are thinking, I'd like to come to Russia, I'd like to see what it's all about, I'd like to perhaps stay there, open a business, buy property and stuff like that. And they're going to watch this channel and think, oh, wait a second, it's impossible to do. How am I supposed to know the language when I've only been in Russia for like 2 months? You're not supposed to know the language. And that's why residency isn't typically open for anyone that just comes on a tourist visa. Now, having said that, the Russian government are allowing more and more people to apply for temporary residency coming on just a tourist visa. This is something that is now becoming more and more frequent. However, it is not typically the case. But I'm hoping that the guys over at Countryside Acres can get this sorted out in time. And I've done my best to reach out to them through a mutual friend. And I'm hoping that they're going to be able to get in contact with me, because I've got a feeling that I can help them with their problem, with their language test, to allow them to apply for residency. And I'm really hoping that they're going to be able to get in contact with me and we can do our best to get this sorted. Obviously they've got a massive family, and I understand how difficult it must be to come to Russia and do all these things within 90 days. But the most important things when you come to any new country are the documents. They're the most vital things to come here and get your documents sorted ASAP. I know they've been doing loads of other things like going and looking for potential farms to buy and purchasing a car and things like that. But really, if you've only got a 90-day, limit, the most important thing you need to do to start with is get your documentation done. And then you can go and you're free to live in Russia. Because they've only got a 90-day visa, theoretically they should leave within 90 days. But once the documents have been accepted, right, they've been put on the quota, they've got all the documents together, they've passed the test, they give the documents to immigration. What immigration can then do is say, right, we're going to extend your registration for you, okay, so that you can stay in Russia and wait while your temporary residency is made for you. And it could take a few months for that to happen, but they're allowed to stay here legally. So the most important thing is when you come here, if you're wanting to apply for temporary residency, you do your documents as soon as possible, get that done, and then you start living your life. Because until you have done all your documents and been accepted, you don't know if you can stay here or not. Anyway, I just wanted to clear that up. I'm in the process of building a site right now where you're going to be allowed to have a free consultation with me to talk to me about your situation if you want to move to Russia and things Russia related. It's just going to be like a free call, 10-minute call that you can have with me and discuss your maybe problems, your topics, your issues, your questions that you have about Russia. The site's hopefully going to be ready in the next week. It's just going to be samsrussianadventures.com, the same as my YouTube channel, Sam's Russian Adventures. And on there you can arrange a call with me, we'll have a chat, and I can advise you the best way possible for you to make the move to Russia or anything Russia related. Anyway, that's all really. I just wanted to make this quick video just to clear things up, and I hope Countryside Acres get everything sorted in time before they, if they have to leave, or hopefully they can stay.